Cool. So before we start, um, I wanted to just as a housekeeping, you can say, or building up the um, the scene over here is if you guys get any questions in between, feel free to write in the chat. We can have a discussion over the voice once we are done with the session. I have gone through the previous recordings of the user group, and I've seen that some of the fellow MVPs have come in and also talked about, let's say, Azure OpenAI and other stuff. So I wanted to give a different look to this discussion rather than just talk about what service does. So I've just gone a little back. So this is just to build up like what is the expectation, and then and I'll talk about in the agenda that what are we going to discuss in this whole discussion. So again, thank you very much for joining. And reason for this topic is that you just have to imagine that the world has come or we have come to a place where we can literally create um, stories, content, business solutions with just the English language. And using the natural language, we can, it is, the world has come where we can create so many useful solutions, captivating stories, user experiences, and all that stuff. So this is the world of generative AI. We know that it is changing every, probably every 2 weeks, if not every day. And we can see that there are significant updates happening almost every month, um, ranging from ChatGPT from November last year to this month. So a little bit of this um, introduction about myself. So I am Arafat Tehseen. I am joining you from Sydney, Australia, and I work for EY, looking after their Microsoft practice. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for artificial intelligence, just like my esteemed colleague Kasam, and one of my good friends in India who's also based in, who's also an AI MVP, Vinod. So I've got a chance to work with these gentlemen in the past, so it has been a pleasure to host you folks. And yeah, apart from this, I also run some user groups, some other community activities like Global AI, the podcast. If you are creating some interesting stories around AI, like if you are creating some solutions around AI, you want to talk about it, how are you creating it, what is making, what difference is it is making for the society, I would love to bring you as a guest to our podcast. So it is open for everyone, be it a new starter, a student, or someone who has been working in a startup or a big firm, name you name it. Okay. So moving on, and let's talk about what we are going to discuss as an agenda over here. So I have done a little bit of slightly change at the end, but we will first talk about why we are discussing all of that. I've seen the previous discussions where we were discussing that why do we need all kind of services, LLMs? What are those? How do they work? What is the need of all this landscape? Why can't we just do with the usual machine learning stuff or AI stuff? Why we are diving into this piece of technology? We'll also look at the prompt engineering best practices, and I'll show you some of the examples which I've recently built. And I have created a whole repo for those who want to start their journey. So that would be awesome. And as I said, that you can start posting questions whenever you feel like, and I'll pick them up as it makes sense for this session. The thing which I have did a little bit change on is the AI Builder Plus teams. So and I'll talk about it later on when we move. So we will be, I was thinking to do a live demo, but because of some environmental issues and the expiry of my AI Builder uh, license, I couldn't extend it. Although I was able to extend a couple of times, but I think I've reached the extension limit as well. Now let's talk about the brief history of AI. We already have seen that it has been a topic since a while. The reason why it was not picking up, let's say in 60s, 70s, or 80s, or even 90s, because of the hardware limitation. And that's why we just from 56 we came to 1997, where machine learning as a subject or as a field came in, and people, big giants, software giants, have started building their solutions around it. Then in 20 years later, the deep learning has changed a lot, changed the spectrum, text spectrum a lot, like bringing up the object detection, bringing up the vision specifically into a place where people could not just use text, rather they were able to use um, things like computer vision and other reinforcement learning techniques because of this. Then, of course, in 2021, we saw generative AI. Although generative AI was there, so it was there since past 10 years, but it was not as famous as it is right now. And I was also studying one of the studies where research, where they said that it took, I think, 4 years for Facebook to reach to a place where ChatGPT just took like 5 days. So you can imagine that the amount of uh, uh, the amount of necessity, or and also the speed of the technology was so fast that people were able to grasp it and use it. Now, why are we discussing this? So this is important even if you are from the background of tech, or even if you are, let's say, you are a hands-on developer, or if you are not a developer, if you are just a business person. Um, but if you are working around technology, around tech industry, excuse me, around technology or around tech industry, it is important for you to learn about at least the applied AI part of AI, where how it is being used, and how you as a technical person or a person who is responsible for business can make informed decisions. This is the AI landscape of 2023, and that was taken, this screenshot I took from March. So I'm 100% confident that it has grown from this to a very larger space. um, and so I did not want, like, I just don't want to talk about this much, as everybody knows that so many things are coming up with AI, powered by AI. We will just focus on generative AI. So if any let's talk about first generative AI, and then I'll ask one something from you. Right? So generative AI is something in a very 5-year-old definition. I would say that it is something like a genie you wish you had in your pocket. So you must, like, if you wanted to create X, you could create X. If you wanted to create Y, you could create Y. Let's say you wanted to create a bot, very uh, sophisticated bot that would take some information from your customers, book an appointment, not just book an appointment, send an email, not just send an email, but also it put an entry in the CRM. A case would get open. Against that case, it would go to the particular team, and against that particular team, it would action. Once the action has been taken, or the action does not is not taken within the certain period of time, then another alert can be sent out through AI. So the whole business process can be run not just with generative AI, but a broad perspective of AI. However, generative AI would play a big, big role in that. Um, when we are talking about generative AI, we are not talking about just AI, just text. So we are talking about videos, images, and other stuff as well. We'll talk about this. How can you do images, video, text, and other stuff. Other than text, I have got a whole bunch of discussions on that, but this is not a topic of today. However, I'm happy to answer any questions around that, and I can also guide you towards that. This is the generative AI landscape. So this is also super old. Again, I'm from Australia, so we have. I got to know that just within Australia, we have now got more than, I think, 200 startups or 100 startups registered who are just using generative AI. So this is the top 51, and that this top 50 is also old because it does not include, let's say, Llama. It does not include Bard, and other big systems which are making or which are being highlighted in the news. But yeah, this was just to show you that the the momentum is super high, and if you have not dived into this space yet, you should start thinking about it. Now let's see what it actually happens, and most of you may be aware of like what it happens, but I just wanted to reiterate for those who are joining it as a newbie into this space. So when you send a prompt, a text to to a model which is a black box, it sends you a completion. Um, or you can say it sends you the 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 next bit of it. So because the reason why I said this is the completion APIs of Chat OpenAI or Microsoft Azure OpenAI um, will uh, will like these will not stay for very long. So because the chat is super powerful, Chat GPT specifically, the model which they are using, so it can be replaced that. So you can consider it as a replacement, but let's for the sake of understanding, let's start understanding this. So if I say the capital of Australia is, the model would say Canberra. Same is the case that since it has been trained on almost all the internet, right? So what happens that when I put prompt like this, what is going to be an output? Can anybody write the output over here on the chat if you are accessible? Um, if you have got an access to the chat, I just wanted to see that if anybody has got a different interesting answer on that. So if I give a model, I climbed the mango tree and picked what would be the model's output? Mango, of course, that's super good. So Kumar, I think Rakesh, yeah, Rakesh said that um, leaf, and Fayaz said mango. Um, Umar is also saying mango. Definitely it is mango, but I will come to the part where Rakesh has said leaf, and there is a reason behind it that there this is non-deterministic model. So I when I say I climbed a tree, it may say a mango or it may say a few fruits because of the non-deterministic nature or the random nature of this, it can give you a lot of different outputs, right? Because I did not specify the tree earlier in my previous example over here. I specified that it was mango, right? So moving on, the models, as we know that it is not super old, and the reason, sorry, no, sort not super new, so it is still not trained on the latest internet information. Not talking about Bing, we'll talk about that, how they are keeping the updated information, what is the way to do that. But we are talking about the, you can say, a vanilla chat GPT or the foundation large language models. So if you write this particular question, you would get this output. So this means that it does not keep the correct and it does not keep the updated information. So asking facts is not a good idea. Why it is not a good idea? I asked ChatGPT to give me the name of a scientist who is the inventor of lit now. Litnow, Litnow. This is the product name which I've created myself. And then ChatGPT gave me the scientist name Lilithia Starlight. Now, I said that, can you please create a biography of Lilithia Starlight, inventor of Litnow, and included references? This is what has happened. So it has even created these references, although they are like 404, right? But they have given me this. I have got the whole biography. In case anybody wants it, I can give it to you. But this is super good at spreading nonsense. So you need to be very careful. If I ask, my name is Arafat, who are you? It would say, my name is John, because it is making up. If I say, you can give me a nickname if you like, it can say, like, how about Sparky? If it has got a context of my previous discussion, then it may give me a correct nickname. Now, what we have understood from here, that foundation model, generative AI models can generate text, images, and code. As we have seen it, it can generate human-like output. It can provide information. It can help you write some fantastic proposals, some pitching lines, some viral LinkedIn posts, and all that. But they are not intelligent. They are not deterministic as well. When I say they are not intelligent, do not confuse by the word intelligent. I've written the description over here. You can say that, you can read it, that it's a predictive system. So intelligence means that it is not creating it out of nowhere, or unless you are training it. So if it does not get trained, it won't be able to identify, oh, it's the output is this. For example, comparing it with the intelligence of human. Imagine you have got a chair without the legs or just one leg. You will be able to determine that it is a chair, and you will be very sure about it. If I give the similar picture to this model, even if I have trained on 1000 images or 100,000 images of chairs, unless I have trained it on the broken chairs, it won't determine that it is a chair. So that's the way, that's how much intelligent it is. Again, as I said, that they are not deterministic, they are not grounded. Grounded means they are not trained on your data, or the information which is factual about the current state. And sorry, what they can't do, they cannot know everything, because you have not trained it. And of course, it is it is there till the till the timeline. So I think by 2021 October, it has got trained to. Like, when I say it has, it means that I'm talking about famous ChatGPT model, but there are other models as well, and we can have a discussion about it. But this is this is just to give you an idea that these kind of models, whatever they are, even if they are trained till like August 2023, if you ask any information about anything which is which happens in September, then they may not be able to give you the update of it. Again, they are also not able to learn. So there is a difference between you giving or you leaking an information. Let's say what we have seen in the past, that um, people have given the confidential information to ChatGPT. This is something else. Learning is something else. If you give any of your private or confidential information to ChatGPT or Bard, they are not going to learn it. That information is leaked, that is something else. But that model will not have an output next time unless it is a part of your context. Again, and in the act, they can only do whatever they are asked to do. So if we are providing a perfect prompt, then they are giving us a perfect result. If they are not providing them a perfect prompt, and we'll talk about what is a perfect prompt looking like, but right now they won't give you the correct output. And for example, mathematical outputs. Then what has happened? Microsoft joined hands with OpenAI, just like any other big name like Google. They have created their own stuff. Meta, they have created their own stuff. Microsoft joined hands with OpenAI because OpenAI already had created such um, great models. So what Microsoft has done that rather than just relying on OpenAI APIs as a partnership for enterprise customers, they have brought into the power of Azure, and that Azure which is accessible to you, this is which is accessible to everyone. And then what they have done is they have brought in everything, every model, and they have mapped it against all the use cases. So again, GPT 3.5, GPT 4, which are in GA, Codex, and Dolly. Dolly is still in preview, which is for images. We'll look at it in the demo, but these were the uh, motivations behind it for enterprises to use by Microsoft's cloud. Now, this is looking like a particular landscape. We'll not discuss much about it, but just to give you an idea that we would, I would discuss this part and this part. Um, as I said that my environment had an issue in allowing me to work with AI Builder a lot, so I couldn't. But I have a video recorded for previous video recorded for you to see what I meant when I was talking about AI. When I will talk about AI Builder, let's talk about OpenAI OpenAI service. So again, these are just tags. By the way, before I get into this, I wanted to make sure that I'm not talking anything about super strange. So um, would anyone like to raise their hand who has not heard of Azure OpenAI? Not heard of. Okay, Fayaz, fine. Karan, yes. Pratham, Pranav, cool. Okay, Pratham, yes. Okay, so fine. Thank you very much. So there are like 4 or 5 among us, among our 43 attendees who have not heard of OpenAI service. Um, Fayaz, if you can lower down your hand, I have got another question, please. So the other question is, who has not heard or used ChatGPT? Not used. Okay, so it means that everybody has used ChatGPT, right? So just for you guys who have not used Azure OpenAI service or not aware of it, so Azure OpenAI is this is the enterprise offering from Microsoft for ChatGPT, which means that you can have an Azure subscription and you can have your Azure OpenAI service, the same service which you would get from OpenAI, and you can have the ChatGPT used inside your subscription. The benefit of this is that the content, everything will remain within your subscription. Um, it is going to be easy for you to access and build applications. These are some of the examples of the prompts which are written over here and along with their responses. The responses may have a different output because they are not deterministic. So you may experience a little different, but in a nutshell, this is how they are looking like. This is how you may get a response. And we'll see that in action. Now, what business scenarios can it solve? Um, can anybody write these? What business scenarios can it solve? I'm really interested in knowing from you. Like any, please feel free to write this. I wanted to make it quite interactive for us, so feel free to chip in your thoughts. Don't worry about it. Because when we go to the demo, then we will not come to these parts. So it's better that we discuss now. Okay. Um, Okay, so let's talk about the business scenarios which can be solved. Um, yeah, Yogesh, if you can write down your question, that would be awesome. So, or otherwise, just wait till like a little end, and then I'll take the questions. So these are the scenarios which can be solved very easily with Azure OpenAI, super easily, right? Um, Again, a lot of people ask me this question, so I brought it over here that when the other services like cognitive services are in the market, what's the use of using this particular service? Unless you check all the boxes, you shouldn't use this because there are better services available. And when I say better, it means that there is a reason that Microsoft has kept those services. And let's say translation. So for translation service, it may not do such a good job over here. For summarization, it may not do super good job over here if the document is like super lengthy because it has got a token limit, which in in simple words, it has got some limit to get or to ingest the data. Okay, so um, and this is the example anyway. Um, then OpenAI service has got the features which are in preview, like you can have a chat GPT for your enterprise. Not a topic of today's discussion, but definitely we can have a discussion on this in the questions that time. And if you are interested, and if everybody gets interested into this, I can definitely host a separate session on how to bring this as your chat GPT for your company. So awesome. And then, so this is the capability which I wanted to talk about. So there are two capabilities. One is for coders or developers, and one is for no code makers. With AI Builder, Microsoft's AI Builder, which is a part of Power Platform, you can create all the experiences of your customers for your business applications using the same GPT-3 or even in future GPT-4 models as well. There is a connector available in Power Automate, which you can use and you can apply for to get an access since it's in preview, and then you would be able to use it. So what AI Builder does, so AI Builder gives you the response like this. And when you are using in Power Automate, it does it like this. I've included these screenshots because I unfortunately lost the access to this because my trial got expired. But if you focus on this, on the top, I've defined my problem, and then it has given me a response in the bullet points. On the right side in Power Apps, I'm just showing that how you can use this natively without going to the Power Automate route. Now coming to the best practices, we'll just do 5 minutes of discussion over here, and then I will definitely jump into the demo and we'll talk about in detail. In the meantime, may I know how many of you are developers and in which language? If you can comment that, that would be awesome. That let's say Python, C Sharp, Java, whatever, so that it will become easier for me to talk about it. Awesome. Please, everybody, if you can write it down, that would be awesome. Thanks, Saeed. Thanks, Shinigami. Best practices. So talking about best practices in the meantime, um, you need to be very clear and descriptive about your prompt, and we'll see that why it is so important. Because if you are building an application for your customers, you need to be very clear of what you are asking so that you don't get an output which is not expected, and as a result of that, your customer use case may get hurt. Good to know, Hardik. Thanks. Yeah, please write down whatever the languages you are using. So, such for an example, you may ask for a structured output, let's say HTML, JSON. You can also ask that model to to evaluate their own output so that the assumptions are already defined, and then you can easily see and validate whatever the information you are getting is also making sense for you. You can't do everything in one go. Honestly, it took me a while to write basic prompts to for the production use cases. So you may need to test again and again and be iterative about it. My way of doing it, and this is also best practice, coming from the experts, that your sequence in prompts matter. So you need to set the goal before you provide the context. Like there is a way that you can say, "Oh, I'm doing a research, and my research involves blah blah blah, and this is the snapshot of my research," and then you write at the end that summarize this research. Don't do this. Do this. Do rather you can do this, that summarize below, or I want to summarize the content below, and this is the context. First I will provide the context, then I'll provide the content. So this way it will act better. And if your model is not able to give you an output which is not expected, you need to teach what model needs to do. Let's say return undefined, unknown, or not found, right? And then you try to do you with the few shots example. So what is zero shot, one shot, and few shot? So zero shot means that AI must generate outputs or solve tasks without any previous examples. One shot means just with one example, and a few shot means with more than one example. Now, to understand this, let's take this example that you are in a classroom and you as a person have not seen a cat before, and your instructor asks you to draw a cat or an animal which you have never seen. You will use your imagination to create the cat. There is a chance that your instructor can give you one image of a cat so that you can see that it has got fur, it has got tails, it has got eyes, nose. So on the basis of that, you can create another cat, which is going to be better than what you have seen in zero shot learning. So by one shot, it will improve. But imagine if you see, let's say, four, five, or at least 10 cats of different breed, of different out, um, or different layouts, or you can say of different appearance. So with 10 different appearances, you will be able to create a better cat or draw a better cat. That's what few shot, one shot, and zero shot is all about. Now, as I said, I wanted to show you a demo of like how do you, and this was done 100% without a single line of code. I have written a very detailed blog post on it, and I will share the link of that after this talk. So you are not missing out anything. It's just that I could not show you live. But what I did, I created a bot using Power Virtual Agents, exposed it to Microsoft Teams, allowed my staff to create a social media post. That post goes to Power Automate. Power Automate was using GPT action um, for Azure OpenAI Service. It generated the content, sent to the approval to the person who was approver. In this case, my teammate has sent me an approver. So I approved it. As soon as I approved it, it sends back that content to my staff. So I'll show you this in just few minutes. Then we have got some few more demos, and this is in action. So we'll talk about it. Um, Getting started with Azure OpenAI Service, build a flight tracker with Azure OpenAI. How do you add voice as well to your solutions with the neural voice? So we'll see everything. Okay. Um, let's have a look at this now. Okay, so let me first bring the part where I was talking to you about the just I'll just stop sharing for a bit, please. And I will bring my different screen so that it becomes easier for you. Um, yep, now I will share this again. Okay, so this is my first, what I wanted to do with you, what I wanted to build. If you see this from the start, sorry, and so if you see this, this is my staff writing the same message. I want to write a social media post. Um, the bot would say, what would you like? And then it would say plumbing repairs. And then the bot would say, okay, fine, your content has been sent for the approval. And once it has sent for the approval, it has been sent for the approval, it would come, it would come to, it would come to me. So as a result of that, you can see that plumbing repairs, it has come to me. Um, Adele has requested, I have approved it. So once I have approved this, what happens is then it goes to the content goes directly to Adele in her private message so that she can look the post and she can start posting it on the social media channels. So this was done without writing a single line of code. But as I said, I could not show you. This is the this is the teams, real teams. So this was the real teams which where I did all of that. But as I said that my tenant was expired, so I couldn't show you. But just to give you a confidence that it was there, how I have written this, so you can see that this was the flow. Everything is shared on my blog post, but I was using this. So you can see you are a social media expert for a small business named Handyman Services. Your job is to create attractive and influential social media posts depending on the topic below. And this was my topic, right? And then I was returning back the message that yes, it has been executed. And then I was waiting for me to approve because I've set it as approval hard coded as my. So this was the whole experience of my AI builder. However, now I wanted to bring in something new to you, and that's related to the developers. So this was mainly for the no code people or no code maker. Now I've seen a lot of people have worked on .NET, Python, Java, which is nice. I'll talk about specifically um, .NET and Python, but since C# is quite similar to Java, so it won't be an issue. Um, these are my two models. I know in our previous session, I think people have shown you this, but if you have not seen it, so this is the Azure OpenAI Studio. They have got chat playground, completion playground, bring your own data. As I said, that we can have a discussion about it later on. Dolly. So if I go over here and I write anything like tell me, so and if it is right, so it has just given me a joke. So although it can spit out some nonsense as well, so don't like just trust everything. And it can be very nasty when it comes to output. Although Microsoft has put in a content filtration layer over here, but you can also put your own content filters over here. How do you use it? This is the same way you are using it in ChatGPT, but how do you as a developer use it? So let's talk about that now. If I go over here and if I open up a new window, which I will show you now. So now if I if you come over here and if you, so this is github.com/Arafat Tassin, which is my full name /generative-AI. You will see that it has got a repo, and every repo has got both the notebooks. The same notebook over here. So you can see that this is the same notebook. Everything is shared already, but if you have not seen any of the demos, I will share it again with you. So I've created a notebook. Why I've created the notebook? So people from .NET background or the developers may know that I wanted to avoid console apps creation. So what and I've come across Polyglot notebook. These are so nice. Like they are built on top of Jupyter notebooks as well, but they are much powerful than just Jupyter notebook. And the reason for this is they can run multi-language. They can have so many other so many other features which Jupyter does not have. So um, I have written each and every detail, like how would you configure it? What do you want? This is our first notebook. So I have even like told you how do you check it if everything is working fine. Then you have already defined OpenAI key, which means Azure OpenAI key in my case. So I have defined it over here as my package. I have downloaded the package now. And now I've just said that I've climbed a mango tree. Instead of saying mango tree, it says that a pigda, and the picked after pigda it says that mango. So if I say I climbed a tree, right, and picked and if I say picked, it will say I picked a big apple, right? So you can you can quickly test these. Not only these, you can even create a sentiment classifier with these APIs. So I've just provided a good prompt over here, and I said that this is a sentiment tweet sentiment classifier. So I have not provided the sentiment of last. However, you see that I've just given a few shots, like very few, 4 shots. And if I say I just love this cake, right? And as a result of that, what sentiment it should give? It should give me a positive sentiment, right? Because I just love this cake is a positive sentence. So you can start creating these kind of solutions which are very simple, yet they are very, very, very useful. Coming to the chat GPT part or chat GPT-4 part. So let's try to build a flight tracker together. So I want to build a flight tracker. Um, I wanted to set a a system prompt, which we call it a system prompt. Over here, I'm saying that you are a virtual flight assistant who is responsible for tracking flight. You need either a flight number or a source or a destination to track my flights. If user does not provide either of this, which means that destination or flight number, then you should ask for it. Anything outside of the flights are not a part of your scope, so you should not answer that question or answer it with the unknown intent. Correct? Now, if I say this, I want to track my flight. This is my flight from Sydney to Melbourne. You will see that it is giving me your flight from your flying JF23 from Sydney to Melbourne is now departed. So if I change my flight I like this, right? It should literally not give me anything if I have trained it quite well, or if it has understood my prompt. It should not literally give me anything, and or it should give me just a very basic or bad, oh sorry, a very basic prompt that I don't understand, blah blah blah. It is taking some time. I think it is calling some service, but let's wait. Okay, so you see this. Sorry, I did not understand what you are trying to do. My scope is limited to tracking flights. Can you please provide a flight number? So you see that there is a way to lock it. So you can do that. Now, we can also do summarize and translate. So it will, I've provided a whole bunch of blog post of mine, and then within blog post I've as I said, summarize the following text and character and translate it into Urdu, which is my native language. But I'm happy to do this, let's say, in Hindi. So if I run this, what it will do is it will first translate, sorry, summarize this, and after the summarization it will also translate this in Hindi. Or we can change this language to any to any other language, let's say, or any other language, like where whatever the language is which we want it to translate it to, and it will be easier. How good or bad this translation is, definitely I don't know, but the translation of Urdu was on spot. You can definitely see this code, like why how we are doing it. So over here I'm also providing a system prompt, and then I'm just providing a summarization prompt. I have not provided any few shots over here, as opposed to what I have provided over here as a few shots. You can see, track my flight from Sydney, sure, please provide your destination, blah blah blah. And over here I did not provide any shot. Now, last, before we go into the second last bit of this today, you can also generate images. So let's say I've created the whole, of course, piece of code. We are using Dolly. So Dolly is trying to create the images from the natural language text. I'm not using SDK because SDK, OpenAI SDK does not yet support the Dolly creation. So that's why a little bit of code over here. If I write this, this is my prompt. Batman working from home in a rainy season. We can change it. And now we will see that it has given us this response. So this is super cool, right? Now, there are a couple of things that I've just shown you on Jupyter Notebook. People may want to see that, no, we want to see in our actual applications. So this is my another demo. I have not pushed it to my GitHub yet, but I will. So this is the same very basic flight bot. If I come over here in my AI helper, you can see the same, exactly same system prompts written over here, not a very big code, right? Now, if I write and in my text chat, I'm just saying that, okay, welcome to the flight bot, blah, blah, blah. So I will run it, and I will say, this is I want to track my flight from Delhi to Mumbai, right? So it says, to track your flight from Delhi to Mumbai, please provide me your flight number. Why it has asked me this? Because if you notice, I have said that to to track, you need either a flight number or a source to destination, right? If if the information does not provide either of it, then you need to ask for it. So it has asked me for the flight number. If I say AI 123, which is my flight number, it would give me a response based upon my flight number. Your flight AI 123 is now boarding at Delhi and scheduled department, blah blah blah. So of course it is making it up because we did not call any service or something. But if you call a service, you know that it will give you the correct response. Also, you can have an structured output. So I did not ask for the structured output, but you can have a structured output, which means that it can give you particular HTML or whatever, right? Now, the same thing I have done with speech. So why I've done with speech, just to show the power of speech as well. So if I go over here, you can see I have got the cognitive services for speech. It's set in my environment variables like the keys. I'm using speech with my open AI. So the code is there. I'll definitely push this code, so not a problem. But let me run this demo again by sharing my screen again so that you can hear the sound as well. So I'll share my screen with the sound so that what it is saying, go to your headphone. It does not allow me to share my sound. Strange. But no problem. I will again share my screen. So, um, and what I will do is I will still run it so you can see the output. And you may not be able to hear the output, but you can still see the output, which I'm saying. I want to book a flight from Sydney to Melbourne. I want to track my flight from Sydney to Melbourne. I want to track my flight from Sydney to Melbourne. It's JF321. JF321. Ah, so EK123. EK123. It is not taking my, yeah, it's EK123. Goodbye. I think because I'm also talking to you, so it is not picking it up, but let's try once again. I want to book. Ah, it is not booking, it is tracking. I want to track a flight EK-123. I want to book a flight EK-123. Again, I want to track a flight EK-123. If it doesn't work, yeah, I think it is my latency of my mic which is causing this, but this definitely works. Trust me, I have I've played it a lot. Um, However, I will push this code. You can try it. You just have to provision speech key and region. Sorry, you just have to provision the speech resource in cognitive service. If anybody wants to know how do you do that, I'm happy to show you now. You can go to Google and write Speech Studio by Cognitive Services, and you can see that there are a lot of things available for you to try it out. If that's not much, so this is, yeah, the last bit over here. I wanted to show this. If anybody wants to take a screenshot, but anyway, um, it is getting recorded, and also I'll push the slides to my GitHub so you can have everything. You don't have to take the screenshots honestly, because these have got links in it, and you will be able